All right, let's take a look at another sample passage. So again, a little bit of a longer passage again, but same idea. I don't want you to get caught up in the details or the scientific terms and things like that, but just in general, what is each paragraph trying to say? So again, same thing. I'll read paragraph one out loud, and as I'm reading this, tell me what is the main idea of that first paragraph. Despite the prevalence of type 2 diabetes, the cause of the disease remain somewhat uncertain. It is likely that some combination of genetics and lifestyle contributes to the development of type 2 diabetes. However, scientists have not fully determined the roles played by various lifestyle factors. So, again, keep it short and simple. Think, what would you jot down on test day in your noteboard? Remember, when you take the GED exam, you can use a noteboard. When you go in there, you're given a noteboard and something to write with. What would you keep in mind here as the main idea of paragraph one? Go ahead and put in the webinar chat. So definitely talk about type 2 diabetes. They talk about the cause being uncertain. Good. Trying to determine the cause of type 2 diabetes. So far, so good, right? Again, they mention genetics and lifestyle, but they don't know how lifestyle affects type 2 diabetes. Now let's take a look at the next paragraph. And even from the first sentence, you can probably have an idea what the rest of the paragraph is going to focus on. For Americans, one contributing factor may be high sugar consumption. Sugar from food is broken down and absorbed into the bloodstream, and insulin is required for the body to be able to use that sugar. So what do you already notice from the first couple sentences from the second paragraph? Yeah, maybe the idea that too much sugar is bad, that high sugar might be one of those reasons for type 2 diabetes. Now, we want to be clear, right? That we're not saying it's definitely the reason, but it says one contributing factor may be high sugar consumption. So again, the question, maybe too much sugar could be the cause of type 2 diabetes. Let's go on from there. In a study of individuals 18 to 25 years old who consume more than the recommended amount of sugar daily, it was shown that the majority had significantly elevated levels of glucose, that is, sugar, in their blood, but normal levels of insulin. In other words, these subjects could not produce enough insulin to allow their bodies to use the amount of sugar they were consuming. Elevated blood glucose levels may put individuals consuming high amounts of sugar at higher risk for developing type 2 diabetes, right? So as we went through the rest of this paragraph, what were some of the other things that you noticed were kind of like the main idea or the main point of this paragraph? What else was brought up here? Insulin is a big one, right? Insulin, right? And they showed in the statistics or in the study, right, Lily, right? Not really statistics, but I get what you're saying, right? There was this study, they got data from these students, right? And they showed how those levels affected, right? So they did this study about sugar and they found, if there's too much sugar, not enough insulin, and maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the risk of type 2 diabetes, okay? Again, are any of you experts on type 2 diabetes or any of you scientific experts on how glucose and insulin work in the human body? I'm not. I'm not. Okay, maybe some of you are. I mean, in all honesty, I should say, I know a tiny little bit about it because type 2 diabetes runs in my family, unfortunately. But again, it's not the common knowledge that you're expected to know for the purpose of the GED exam, right? Does that make sense? Right? Right. So again, if it's a topic that you're like, well, I kind of know this, right? Well, that's good. But again, rely on the information in the passage. So yes, some of you mentioned, right, like Candida, your mom has it, so you know a little bit about it, right? So maybe Candida, right, some of those terms weren't as confusing to you about like insulin and glucose and things like that. But again, this is not common knowledge. This is not things that you're expected to know for the GED exam. Thank goodness, right? Lily, I want to make doctors. I will say The Pit on HBO is a brilliant show. My gosh, that's an amazing show. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's like the show about like in a trauma ward in the emergency room of a hospital in Pittsburgh. So good, so good. All right, let's take a look. Oh my gosh, like season 25, right, of Grey's Anatomy. All right, let's take a look at some sample questions on this passage. So I'm going to give you same thing. I'm going to give you a minute to try this one on your own. When you have an answer, again, not in the chat, but in the poll that's going to pop up on your screen right about now. Take a look at question number 3, and after that, we'll go over this one together. Good luck. All right, let's take a look at question number 3. So, question number 3 says, which one of the following is the topic of the entire passage? And this can be a little tricky, right? Because there are a lot of things that are mentioned here, right? But the topic of the entire passage. So, go back to your notes here. Paragraph 1, the cause of type 2 diabetes is uncertain. Paragraph 2 talked about maybe too much sugar is the reason for type 2 diabetes. So, which of those choices is a topic of the entire passage? I'm going to show you results, and out of those of you who voted, a strong majority of you did put down answer choice C, which is the correct answer. The cause of type 2 diabetes, right? So again, if you look real quickly. And again, if you got this right, great. But I also want you to know why the correct answers are wrong. And again, the things that might have been tempting, but let's make sure that you don't fall for those on the actual test day. What's the problem with answer choice A, everybody? Sources of sugar in Americans' diet. What's the problem with answer choice A? Yeah, they're not talking about the sources of sugar, right? They're not saying, like, well, Americans eat too much chocolate, and chocolate is where all the sugar is. Or, oh, look at all those sweetened cereals, and oh, those Fruit Loops, and those Frosted Flakes, and those, man, those are really good cereals. Honey Nut Cheerios, and Blueberry Morning, right? That's I'm sorry, Sasha. Right? That's the problem with answer choice A. Sources of sugar is not a topic in the entire passage. Answer choice B. What's the problem with answer choice B? So here's the thing. The role of insulin. Well, they do talk, just to be clear, they do talk about the role of insulin, right? They talk about insulin where, though? Where do they talk about insulin? If you remember, look back at your notes. Where do they talk about insulin? In the second paragraph, do they how it affects the bloodstream? Is the role of insulin in metabolizing sugar from food the topic of the entire passage? Yeah, like what you said there, Olivine. It's just a little bit, right? The role of insulin is only mentioned just a little bit. That's why you can get rid of answer choice B as well. And then lastly, what's the problem with answer choice D, everybody? Answer choice D says how to prevent type 2 diabetes. Yeah, the word prevent. there was nothing about preventing type 2 diabetes, right? They didn't say to prevent type 2 diabetes, you should look for alternate sources of energy that don't have as much sugar. Try eating more protein or try eating more healthy fats like avocado. No, they didn't talk about that, right? They didn't talk about the how to prevent type 2 diabetes. They talked about the cause of type 2 diabetes and trying to figure out what that cause is, right? So Terrell, does that make sense, right? Like, yeah, exactly, right? The topic of the entire passage, right? The passage mentions that they don't know the cause. So how do you prevent it? Exactly, right? So you're able to avoid answer choice D, and the correct answer again is answer choice C. So Haley, you picked answer choice B. Does it make sense now why answer choice C is the correct answer? If you still have any questions on it, let us know in the Q&A. Okay, great. All right. Let's take a look at another one in this for this passage. Take a look at question number 4. Same thing. I'll give you about a minute to try this one on your own. And again, when you have an answer, not in the chat, but in the poll for question number 4. Good luck. Okay, just a few more seconds. Put in an answer. Again, this is where keeping those notes can really help you out here. Just to be clear, what's this question asking for? Question number 4 is asking you for what? Go and put in the chat. The gist of the first paragraph. The main idea of the first paragraph. Well, what was the first paragraph about? Now, most people would, at this point, reread paragraph number 1. They would reread the first paragraph. But that seems like a big waste of time. That's why you have notes. In your notes, what is, in your own words, the main idea of the first paragraph? Causes, it's literally right in front of us, right? The causes are uncertain. Which of those choices basically says that? The correct answer, as a strong majority of you did put down, is answer choice D. The causes of type 2 diabetes are not fully understood. Nice work here with this one. Again, it's important to not just know why the right answer is right, but also why the wrong answers are wrong. So again, real quick, what's the problem with answer choice A? What is the problem with answer choice A? It is likely that sugar contributes to the development of type 2 diabetes. Well, they do talk about sugar contributing to the development of type 2 diabetes, but everyone see what Lily put in the chat. Notice how answer choice A, the development of type 2 diabetes, is in the second paragraph, isn't it? Right? Paragraph 2 was trying to figure out if too much sugar is a cause of type 2 diabetes. That's the second paragraph, everybody. The question was asking for the first paragraph. Give me a yes if that makes sense. So some of you did put down answer choice A, which again, it sounds like it's true, right? Like, yeah, I just read this thing. It does seem likely sugar contributes to type 2 diabetes. But the question's asking about the first paragraph. And the first paragraph was just saying, hey, there's this bad thing called diabetes, and we don't know what's really causing it. And then the second paragraph talks about a possibility of that. But again, we don't care about the second paragraph in this question. We only care about the first paragraph. Okay. So those are those things that you want to be careful of as you're practicing this on your own. Even, after tonight's class, when you're seeing practice questions on your own, you want to keep your skills sharp. You want to make sure that you're focusing on what the question is asking for so that, again, you avoid playing the answer choice game, right? The answer choice game, even answer choice B. Genetics was mentioned in the first paragraph, but it's not the main idea. Answer choice C. Have researchers discovered the cause? I think, Terrell, you said it earlier, right? Well, they haven't found the cause, so how are they going to know how to prevent it, right? So answer choice C is wrong as well, right? All right. One more in the set. Question number 5. Same thing. I'll give you a minute to try this one on your own. And again, when you have an answer, put your answer into the poll. Good luck. All right. Give you a few more moments, a few more votes in. All right, let's take a look at this. The main idea of the second paragraph is that high sugar consumption may put individuals at greater risk for developing type 2 diabetes. Which of the following details from the second paragraph supports that main idea? So this is where you have to be careful because all 4 answer choices can be factually correct. We want the one that supports. Which of those answer choices supports the main idea? High sugar consumption may put individuals at greater risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So again, this is where having those notes helps. We talked about, hey, too much sugar might be the reason, right, of developing type 2 diabetes. They did the sugar study. They did the thing with the glucose and the insulin, and they concluded that too much sugar might be a risk for type 2 diabetes. So if you take a look at those choices, you might have noticed there are a couple answer choices you're able to eliminate fairly quickly. Are there any answer choices that you're able to eliminate? Since we want the correct answer to support the main idea. Roger mentioning A and D, Roland putting A, Lily putting A as well. So first, what's the problem with answer choice A, everybody? Seems like we have a consensus on that one. What's the problem with answer choice A? Sugar from food is absorbed into the bloodstream. What's the problem with answer choice A? If you see what Roger put in the chat, nice job there, Roger. It just states how it goes in bloodstream. It's too basic. It's not the detail that supports the idea that high sugar consumption may put individuals at greater risk. Good. So we can eliminate answer choice A for sure. And a few of you also mentioned answer choice D. What's the problem with answer choice D? It has not been proven that sugar is a contributing factor to the development of type 2 diabetes. Answer choice D is factually correct, right? It has not been proven that sugar is a contributing factor. But why is answer choice D wrong for this question? Why is answer choice D wrong, though, for this question? Well, here's the thing, Lily. It it's answer choice D is correct when you think about saying it's not been proven. So answer choice D is a factually correct sentence. But answer choice D is not supporting the main idea in the second paragraph. Does that make sense, everybody? So it's not the word proven that makes that answer choice wrong. It's the fact that this doesn't support the idea that high sugar consumption may put individuals, right? If it's like, well, if it hasn't been proven, well, then why not just have more sugar then if it has not been proven? So we can get rid of A and we can get rid of D. So out of the two remaining choices, if we go back to the passage, right, notice the both of those answer choices, B and C, talk about the study of 18 to 25-year-olds. What did the study say? What was the result of that study, everybody? Again, in your own words first, what was the result of that study? Yeah, and what about the 18 to 25-year-olds, right? Both answer choices B and C mention the 18 to 25-year-olds, but yes, not enough insulin is being produced, right? To regulate the amount of sugar in their system. So which of those choices talks about not producing enough insulin? The correct answer as dun da da da. A majority of you did put down answer choice B, which is the correct answer for this one. Nicely done here. The study showed the majority of those who consume more than the recommended amount of sugar did not produce enough insulin. Okay. Real quick, what's the problem with answer choice C, everybody? What's the problem with answer choice C? There's something in answer choice C that is not part of the main idea of the second paragraph. Tell me, what does answer choice C bring up? And Javin and D mentioning genetic factors, right? Right? The second paragraph is not about genetic factors at all. The first paragraph mentioned genetic factors, right? It's possible that genetics is a reason for type 2 diabetes, but the second paragraph never talked about genetics. Nice job here. Again, any questions on this, please let us know in the Q&A with teacher Sasha, okay?